Hello and welcome to another great episode of the Optimize Show. I am David Mamano, your host. I say it's another great episode because we have yet another amazing guest, and his name is Jamie Cornehlsen. Jamie, welcome to the Optimize Show.
Great to be here.
So excited. Longtime friend. I've known you for, at least 10 years.
Yes.
We met in the Entrepreneurs Organization many years ago, otherwise known as EO. And then you've worked with me on some of my businesses, and you've grown your business, and so it's been fun to watch all your success and how you help people. And the way you help people is you are an incredible coach, and you do it through the EOS program, right?
That's right.
Yeah. What does EOS stand for?
EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it was started by Gino Wickman, and he was in a family business and realized that business was stuck and they needed an operating system to get it out. So it's basically like a blueprint to run business, which no one's handed a blueprint when they start their own business.
Yeah, so being an entrepreneur myself many times, and just seeing other entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs are famous for having that talent, that spark to birth the business. Enjoying that messy birth, right? And somehow, creating some revenue around that, right? And then it turns into a toddler, starts to walk and run. And then all of a sudden they kind of like, I don't know what to do anymore. This is getting a little crazy. I have 15, 20 people. We're doing $1 million in revenue. And it's like the bush just kind of growing horizontal instead of growing vertical, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you come in, and I always call EOS, it's like, open up that engine, open up the hood, and the engine's like, wow, this needs some work. And then someone from EOS comes in and be like, all right, we need to like fix this, tighten this, add some oil over here, put some grease over here, just to get it really fine-tuned. That's what you do, right?
Going to your garden example, a lot of people will do the reverse of they do what they are naturally inclined to do, which is actually the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. And so, like when we think about the gardening, that analogy that you had about gardening is, let it grow. Well, you have to prune it back. And the actual idea of pruning something overly, it's like, oh no, you've cut off all the branches. It's actually what you need to do a lot of times to get it to grow and flourish.
Yeah, that's very true. And I know EOS is famous for having two people on the top. Okay. Right, the visionary, and then it's the implementer?
Integrator.
The integrator. Yeah. You are the implementer.
That's right.
Yeah. You guys, EOS should have chosen another.
Well,
why don't you choose two I words, But all right, so you are the implementer, and the integrator is kind of like the yin and the yang to the visionary. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you alluded to it in that idea that the business owner, everyone would think they're nuts for starting a business. Like, it can't be done. You're going against the Goliaths of the world. And in point of fact, you need that visionary who just has this idea, the energy to get it done. And so that's a visionary. They have 20 ideas, 19 of them will crash and burn, but that one idea will just like be the phoenix that just cruises, and it's amazing what can get done. And so you have that, and then you need a person that will execute all of those things sort of to develop out that business idea. The person that says what they do and do what they say, that will cross the T's and dot the I's, and that person is the integrator. And when you combine the tool, we get what we call rocket fuel, because that combination of items allows the business to just blossom.
And the integrator is supposed to be somebody that has the backbone and the courage to say no to the visionary, correct?
Yeah, no. Oftentimes, that's exactly what it takes. That integrator often communicates extremely well, so they know when to say no to the employees, but also saying no to the visionary. Hey, fabulous idea. We can't touch it for 6 months. And allow them to run the business, pulling the levers to make it happen.
Yeah, well, and entrepreneurs, these visionaries, founders are famous for that, right? You probably see it over and over again. It's like our drug of choice. We get something going, it's profitable. Oh, we can add this, and we can do that, and we could do this. When I was running Next Step, we got the core model running, and then I was coming up with a new idea every week. And finally, my management team said, we're going to set up an R&D committee, and you have to run all your new ideas through us, before they're approved. And I agreed, and they didn't approve one idea. I called it I called it research and destroy. I said, that's what this stands for, guys, But they were right. Why not just continue focusing on the core, right?
So along those lines, I worked with a real estate agent, and she had been working with one of the big groups and said, you know what, I can run my own company. I'm going to go start my own agency, because she didn't like the culture. She didn't like how the end clients were being treated. So she had this great idea, and she ran with it, developed out the agency, and then added property management, a title business, and a mortgage business, or tried to, and completely hit the wall. None of the three other additional businesses started working well, and the agency itself wasn't working well. So at that point, she brought me in, and we started saying, okay, let's click off these other three businesses. They're not productive for you. It's taking you away from the core of the business, which is that agency. Unfortunately, we had to bring in the right people in the agency, because who she had were agents themselves running marketing, doing the sales management role, running operations, running the finance. Those weren't the ideal people. Great agents, not the right people for those seats.
Yeah.
We brought in those people, and within about 15 months, we got the business double to what it was previously with all four of the businesses.
So the right focus with the right people. And like you said, that those people were great people, but I used to have a boss that would say, great actor, wrong role. And as a business owner, sometimes you have to do the tough love to say, you're great at what you do. I just don't need that right now, right? And that's a tough one. So you do see some businesses, though, really excel in their core and then start different related divisions or businesses that maybe these core clients need. So you do see some companies doing it well. What's the difference? Why can some companies do it well and others are flailing at it?
Well, I think it comes around to really understanding sort of the financial aspect of it, to know that, one, you have a good core capital. If you are going to grow and expand, that you have this core capital which you can jump off from. But then you have to look at the productivity within that, and you can look at the numbers, or just you could sort of feel it within the company. Are you just feel like you're banging your head against the wall? Are you trying to get 19 things done and you're never getting those 19 things done? If you're not getting that, whether it's in the financials or in the actual goals that you have, if you're not accomplishing that within the business, that's probably a warning signal to say, hey, let's not start a new thing before we tighten down and get everything good within the core.
Yeah, that's great advice. So let's step back a little bit. So a company is launched, they're growing, a couple years into it, 15, 20 people, over $1 million in revenue. And then, the CEO starts to feel like he or she is flailing to some extent. They call in you. Traditionally, or generally speaking, what does that company look like? Yeah. And then what are some of the first things that you do to secure the beachhead so it can grow to the next level?
Yeah, oftentimes it's either one of three things. They don't have the right people in place, they don't have the right process in place, or they don't have the right vision aligned to get there. And so that's when they feel the pain and they give me a call. When that happens, we start just with the structure. How are you going to scale the mountain? Or if you will, think about a fire department. When that fire alarm goes off, there's no questioning who's going to do what. We know the driver knows immediately. They're getting in the driver's seat. We have the navigator. We have the person that's going to jump out and attach to the mainline water source. We're going to have the person directing the water onto the building and the person that's going to run into the building. We need to create that same structure for the business. No one's pointing fingers. Everyone knows exactly what they're accountable for to get it done. And too often times at that sort of stage of anywhere from 20 to 100 people, it's ad hoc. And so let's get really clear on the responsibilities for everyone.
Awesome. So before the interview, we were talking about people, process, and productivity and systems, right? Those are the things that you'll probably maybe it's the first time the company is having these discussions in depth about those things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So and you've worked with a lot of companies since 2016, being an EOS coach, right? And so maybe tell us, some success stories you've had with those things: people, process, productivity, and just setting up systems.
Yeah. So in terms of the systems, one of my first clients, we went in there. The owner hadn't seen sales growth in a long time. Said, "Oh, we need to drive sales. We got to focus on sales." So we created the sales plan, and in the course of circling back with all the other staff, quickly realized that if we added any more sales, we completely would break the system. We would rip the wheels off the car. And so we hit the stop button and we said, okay, let's actually create the operations side of the business. Let's put in that process. So we completely put the brakes on the sales. We focused on operations. We set up a year-long plan to get that done. Within 7 months, we had completed that plan, and then we actually were able to get to the sales plan, which we had shelved 7 months ago. We were able to do that and execute that, but we wouldn't have been able to complete that without putting the operations piece in place.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What's the saying? A lot of entrepreneurial companies, they don't starve to death, but they die from indigestion, right? And that was about to happen. It sounds like, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Very good. What do you see a lot of we'll say mid-stage companies? What's kind of the general thing that they're just missing the mark on? They just like, it's a blind spot, but they keep on moving forward.
Yeah. The biggest part is accountability, and we have within EOS, we talk about this theory that to get good accountability, you need to be clear on the manager. You need to check your own head, look at yourself in the mirror to say, oh, have I articulated where we're going? Have I articulated what the responsibilities for you, the employee, and then are we measuring those precisely? Because a great employee really likes to know how well they're doing and can judge at the end of the week, did I do a good job? And when you align those pieces, you can build that accountability.
Yeah.
And that's what creates productivity.
Yeah. And so documenting it, but also more conversations about it.
Oh, 100%. Like
Yeah.
a lot of leaders, managers are apprehensive of repeating themselves.
Yeah.
Man, my mom taught me early on, she'd write down the to-dos list and she'd remind you day in and day out. And boy, was that a great reminder for just a good
Probably annoyed you, but you got it.
Holy
Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely, but it was great training because that's in fact what needs to be done on a repeated basis. Like to build to the goals, are we getting there? Are we tracking that?
And that's what good leaders do.
100%.
What do they say? Repetition is the mother of all skills, right? So I heard a great saying the other day for leaders that oftentimes when there's a knife in my back, my fingerprints are all over it. I love that, right? I mean, it's like we're doing something, there's something that we could be doing better.
Yes.
A lot of times we don't like to look in the mirror and say it's our fault, but we play a role in our team, our employees not being their best selves, right? So you're saying set up more accountability, set up some more structure and systems, and have more crucial conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that that inclination. Human inclination would say, oh, we don't need to remind that person of this. No, we need to remind them again and again that this is what we're getting to, because it's so easy to get off track. There's so many squirrels and shiny objects that come in place that can derail us from getting to where we want to go.
Now, I know enough about EOS to be dangerous, and I know that ultimately once you've stopped the bleeding, secured the beachhead, you'll create future visions, right? 1, 3, 5-year visions, and then kind of reverse engineer those visions. Milestones, people, celebrations. I think you guys call them rocks.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that. It sounds like, I'm thinking about using EOS and what would be some of the other benefits?
Yeah, so one individual company, they were a digital marketing agency. I asked them at the end of 2018, okay, how many goals did you have for this year? Oh, we had 22 goals we wanted to accomplish. How many did you get done? None of them. Mm-hmm. All right, let's just start on one of those.
Yeah.
What are we going to try and do? And we mapped it out, and that's in effect a rock. So we got that goal for first 90 days. We just zero it in on that every week. Where are we? What are the milestones? What are the to-dos to make sure that we get there? And we covered our tracks to make sure that was getting done each week. We got that first item done. That next 90-day period, we got 3 more of those done. The third 90-day period, added on 4 more. At the end, we got 7 more. So out of those 22, we accomplished like 15 of those within that first year. But it was segmenting that and getting one thing done at a time.
Brick by brick.
As my mom would say, bird by bird.
Bird by bird. Oh, really?
From
was she a hunter?
Anne Lamott. No, but highly suggest a great book by Anne Lamott.
Excellent, excellent. Well, and there's a saying that it's with priorities or goals. If you have more than 3 priorities, if you have more than 3 goals, you have none.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Because you're working on all 3 and you never just get to finish one, right? And for a company that had 21, I mean, that's crazy. So good for you. So the starter book for EOS is called Traction by Gino Wickman. And that book's been out for at least 10 years, right? Maybe more?
Yeah. It's let's see, I believe 2011.
Yeah. So that got it all started for Gino Wickman. And then what are some of the other books too? The Rocket Fuel is another book. There's a few other books, right?
Yeah, Rocket Fuel deals with the relationship between that visionary and integrator.
Okay.
Then there's Get a Grip, which is a fable-style version of a company going through the EOS process and the ceilings that they hit. Then we have a book called Just Process, which is really talking about just getting really dialed in and intentional about the process you create, about the training to that. And don't worry about all the 136 systems you need. Worry about the 8 to 12 that are really most important.
Yeah.
And then we talk about how to be a great boss, another title of the book about actually leading and managing a team. So
that's great.
It's a good library for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you read all those books a few times a year, you're doing okay. Yeah, very good. Let's say a company, is bubbling up, they're starting to do well, but they maybe they just don't have the budget for an EOS coach yet, right? What's some advice you would give them to get to that next level?
Sure. So certainly reading the books is a great start. Then there is through eosworldwide.com, there is the self-implementation route, whereby you can do some online training and implement it that way. But for nothing else, if one, just get for yourself, ask the question, how are we going to get clients? How are we going to serve the clients? And how are we going to get paid by those clients? Just get the people responsible for those.
Yeah.
Then ask yourselves, hey, how are we conducting our meetings? Putting some simple things. Simple is always better, and we sometimes forget that in the mad world that we're living in.
Right, yeah. Now, there's a lot of business owners that don't consider themselves entrepreneurs, but they have entrepreneurial mindsets. So years ago, I referred you to my dentist, right, Jason Sonori, because he wanted to grow his dentistry business, right? And most dentists wouldn't, put themselves under the category of entrepreneur, right? But he did. Like, he wanted to be entrepreneurial within the dentistry industry. So tell us what happened to him, and what did you do for him?
So he wanted to expand out, and ultimately he has this great vision of feeding all the individuals that aren't getting 3 meals, let alone 1 meal a day in his county. And so that's really a driver for him. And so to accommodate that, he was like, I need to grow my business so I can help fund that objective. and that's what he set out to do. So he started opening up a second location, then a third location, then a fourth. His ultimate goal is to open up 10, and he's crushing it.
I think he's on six or seven now, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's phenomenal in terms of growth. And, when you go there, it's distinctly different. Like, I cringe going to my dentist where the process isn't working very well, just the people aren't as accommodating, and you go into his office, and it's a complete different experience.
Yeah, experience. That's what it is.
It really isn't.
Yeah. They know my name, even if I am like, I've never met this person. They feel like, I feel like, oh, should I know you? And I'm like, no, we haven't met yet, but I know all about you, Yeah, they've kept a good file. Jason, I used to continue to go to his location in Canandaigua, but now they have a Victor one.
That's right.
But I joke with Jason when I see him that he's such a good dentist now, he doesn't have time for me anymore.
Yeah.
So.
So he is absolutely living his EOS life.
Yeah.
He went from sitting in the chair, meaning acting as the dentist, 5 days a week, and then at the edge hours, having to work on the business and leading the other people, to then having much more success within the business financially, only having to work in the business 1 or 2 days a week, and ultimately having more time with his family, which is really what he wanted, as well as to serve this community. So it's great to see him living what I'd call his EOS life.
Yeah, and you must be really proud because you helped spark that journey.
He and his team did all the heavy lifting. I was just there to set some guardrails, and they did the hard work to get there.
Yeah,
So
very modest of you, but that's great. I think the two of you combined, we're definitely a good team. And yeah, you're right. He's gone from being a dentist to a very successful business owner. And I like what you said, as Michael Gerber would say, go from working in the business to working on the business. And I think last time I was at the dentist, I was joking with my hygienist, like, where's Jason, And I if I'm correct, I don't think he even literally works on patients anymore. I think he's running the business, and he's got great dentists that have learned, his culture, right, his way, and I still enjoy the experience very much. So any business owner that wants to set up something like that, EOS is a great way to do that.
That's right.
Yeah, and give us the website again.
So eosworldwide.com, and easy enough if you put eosworldwide.com and then /Jamie.
Yeah.
You'll get to my site.
Excellent, very good. So I was going to ask you, people want to reach out to you, and you'll do a complimentary consultation to see where they are in their business and if it's a good fit?
Yeah, introduce them to tools, and we'll start getting right into some tools that they can use to take the business to the next level.
Excellent. Let's say, if anybody's watching this that is like a brand new entrepreneur, they're just starting out, can't afford it yet, right? But what would you tell them, what systems from the start would help them, get that flywheel turning from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, first just think about, we need to get clients, we need to serve the clients, and we need to get paid by the clients. Just get really clear on how you're going to do each of those three things. And keep it very simple.
Yeah, simple in the beginning, right? Yeah. Try to always keep it simple, right? But it does get complicated, right? But that's when that's when someone like you comes in and tries to bring it back to simple, right? Excellent. Well, Jamie Cornehlsen, thank you so much. It's been so helpful. I love what you're doing. You're putting a lot of goodness into the world and businesses around the world. And thanks for doing what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching another great episode of The Optimize Show. Once again, I'm Dave Amano, your host. We hope that you tune in every Wednesday morning. We have a brand new, great episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, big favor, subscribe, like, share, all that great stuff. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and make sure to stay awesome.